The city on the hill, manifest destiny, the frontier. These phrases were used for 200 years to celebrate the westward expansion of the United States. Borders were crossed, peoples were removed, and the phrases resounded with messages of inevitability, righteousness, and heroism. By the end of the 19th century, the continent had been conquered. Americans began looking for new borders to cross. European powers had claimed colonies for centuries. Now the U.S. embarked on a new era of expansion beyond its shores. Imperialism was added to the list of phrases. This is a story about how the United States expanded at the turn of the century, how it conquered distant lands, and at the same time conquered doubts at home. It is a story about wars, world's fairs, and the creation of an empire. The story begins in Cuba. On February 24, 1895, Cubans take up arms to win independence from 400 years of Spanish rule.
Separation from Spain is the only cure for Cuba's ills.
A year later, and thousands of miles away, Filipinos rise up against 300 years of Spanish colonialism.
We sons of the people seek to redeem the mother country from the slavery of Spanish rule.
Spain now fights a war on two fronts. Cuban and Filipino insurgents are inspired by the Declaration of Independence and America's own history of revolution. But for 3 years, the U.S. government does virtually nothing, refusing to recognize or support these struggles for independence. Then, on February 15, 1898, the cause of the explosion of the U.S. battleship Maine in Havana Harbor is a mystery. But newspapers, songs, plays, and films think they know who's responsible. 2 months later, President McKinley calls for U.S. intervention in Cuba. But the first battle of the war occurs far from Cuba. 5 days after McKinley's declaration of war, Admiral George Dewey defeats the Spanish fleet at Manila Bay in the Philippines. Dewey's victory, Teddy Roosevelt and his Rough Riders, the Battle of San Juan Hill, the Battle of Santiago. These events come to represent a new status for the United States. America declares itself to be a global power. Independence fighters in the Philippines rejoice at the defeat of Spain. They assume the U.S. will be an ally in establishing a free and independent nation.
I hereby decree the object of the revolutionary government is to prepare the Philippines for the establishment of a true republic and to fight until all free nations shall recognize it.
But the United States does not recognize Philippine independence. America has other ideas. Europe had been claiming overseas colonies for over 400 years. In the 1890s, the last great land grab is on. The United States wants a piece of the action and needs to quell social conflict created by industrialization. The U.S. sets its sights on global economic expansion, especially access to China. On the home front, the United States sponsors 4 enormous international expositions. Emulating its European rivals, the American expositions construct a new image of the nation, suitable to the role of empire.
The great nations of the world, the United States is the youngest. Our resources are equal to those of any other nation. Our people are among the most intelligent, cultured, happy, and prosperous of mankind. The world's Columbian Exposition is the natural outgrowth of this nation's place in history.
These massive world's fairs promote industrialization and international trade. They also glorify Western culture and America's rise to world prominence.
Son, this is quite an education. It's like walking through all of the world's civilizations. I wish you could see it.
These buildings will disappear. This creation of art, beauty, and industry will perish. But who can tell the new thoughts that have been awakened, ambitions fired? In the furtherance of national interests, this fair is performing an important part.
Emma, you wouldn't believe the things they got here. It's a different world. At night, the buildings light up as bright as day.